The movie kicks off inside a mental institution, where we meet Anita Lesnicki, better known as Needy. She's clearly not the kind of patient anyone wants to mess with, since she has a reputation for kicking people and even attacks a nurse out of nowhere. After the incident, she's dragged into solitary confinement, and it's there that she starts telling the story of how she went from a quiet high schooler to a violent inmate. Her story takes us to Devil's Kettle, a small town named after its mysterious waterfall. The water tumbles down into a huge hole, but no one knows where it ends up. Even scientists have studied it and come up empty, so locals like to joke that it must lead to another dimension. This odd little town is where Needy grew up with her childhood best friend, Jennifer Check. On paper, they're total opposites. Jennifer is a gorgeous cheerleader, adored by everyone, while Needy is more of a nerdy, bookish type who doesn't really stand out. But despite their differences, the two have always been inseparable. Needy also has a boyfriend named Chip, although it's pretty obvious that her feelings for Jennifer run deeper than the usual friendship. Poor Chip just has to deal with the fact that his girlfriend would rather hang out with her best friend than him. One night, Jennifer drags Needy to Melody Lane, a dingy local bar where an indie band called Low Shoulder is set to perform. Jennifer is instantly drawn to the band's lead singer, Nick, and she flirts with him right away. Needy can't help but wonder why a band would even bother coming to such a small town, but Nick smooth talks about wanting to connect with fans everywhere. Jennifer eats it up, leaving Needy a bit suspicious. Jennifer then goes off to grab drinks, and while she's gone, Needy overhears Nick and the other band members talking about her. Nick speculates that Jennifer must be a virgin, the kind of small-town girl who pretends to be experienced but is really saving herself. He says she'd be perfect for what they're planning. The whole thing gives Needy the creeps, so she later warns her friend about it, but Jennifer brushes it off, as she's way too busy swooning over Nick's looks to care. Soon the band gets on stage, and just as things start getting lively, disaster strikes. A short circuit sparks a massive fire that spreads faster than anyone can react. Chaos erupts as people scream and scramble to escape. Several people don't make it, but Needy and Jennifer manage to squeeze through a bathroom window to safety. Out on the street, while they're still reeling from the panic, Needy notices that the band members are already outside and oddly calm, almost as if the fire didn't bother them at all. Jennifer seems shaken and spaced out. But before Needy can convince her to go home, Nick appears again. He and the band casually invite Jennifer to come with them, saying she could rest in their van. Needy immediately feels something is wrong and refuses, urging her friend not to go. But Jennifer doesn't listen. She ignores Needy completely and hops in with the guys. Watching her best friend leave, Needy can't shake the dread creeping over her. In that moment, she's reminded of a twisted, scary-looking tree she once saw as a kid, something evil and unnatural that made her uneasy. Back home, with her mom working late-night shifts, Needy is left alone with her thoughts. She is deeply worried about her friend since she hasn't heard from her yet. Needy then calls Chip and recounts everything: the fire, the creepy band, and Jennifer taking off with them. In the middle of their conversation, Needy is startled by the sound of the doorbell, intensifying her fear. She keeps Chip on the line while slowly heading downstairs and opening the door, only to find no one there. She feels a bit relieved for a moment and tries to shake it off as her imagination, but the uneasy feeling sticks. As she heads back upstairs, she hears weird noises coming from the kitchen. Nervously, she follows the sounds and notices the sink faucet dripping. Needy reaches over and shuts it tightly, but when she turns around, her relief shatters. Standing there in the kitchen is Jennifer, bruised, blood-soaked, and dripping across the floor. The sight freezes Needy in place. Jennifer doesn't explain where she's been or what happened to her. Instead, she flashes a sinister grin and immediately raids the fridge. She pulls out some leftover chicken, tosses it to the floor, and begins ripping into it like a wild animal. The entire act is unsettling enough, but it gets worse. Jennifer suddenly gags, screams at the top of her lungs, and vomits a thick, tar-like substance across the tiles. Horrified, Needy reaches for the phone to call for help, but Jennifer slams her against the wall with inhuman strength. For a tense moment, it looks like she's about to bite into Needy's neck, as if she were some kind of vampire. But then Jennifer abruptly pulls back and darts out the front door without another word, leaving Needy trembling and confused. The next morning at school, Needy is shaken from everything she witnessed. She expects Jennifer to show up equally rattled, but instead her best friend walks into class looking completely fine, as though nothing happened. When Needy questions her about the night before, Jennifer brushes it off, insisting that Needy has a tendency to overreact and imagine things. However, Needy is sure of what she saw last night, because she spent the night cleaning the mess Jennifer created on her kitchen floor. Meanwhile, the entire school is shaken by the tragedy as it lost 8 students, several parents, and the Spanish teacher. But Jennifer remains disturbingly indifferent. While others are emotional, she mocks the situation, leaving Needy baffled by her coldness. Needy's unease grows even more when she remembers how strangely connected Jennifer seemed to the band Low Shoulder. Later that day, she tells Chip about what happened in her kitchen. The blood, the raw chicken, the black vomit, all of it. Chip tries to rationalize it, suggesting maybe Jennifer had been drinking or smoking, but Needy is convinced there's something darker at play. Not long after, Jennifer sets her sights on Jonas, the school's football captain. Jonas is devastated over the death of his best friend Craig in the fire. Jennifer approaches him with a look of sympathy, telling him she knew Craig and that his last words were that Jonas and she would make a great couple. Desperate for comfort, Jonas lets himself be led by Jennifer into the forest behind the school. Once there, Jennifer seduces him, but as they get closer, Jonas notices something unnatural. Birds and animals begin gathering around them, silently watching, as if drawn to the scene. Before Jonas can even react, Jennifer transforms into her monstrous self. She attacks him viciously, disemboweling him in a brutal, bloody frenzy. His screams echo echo through the night until they're finally cut short. Nearby, a teacher hears the cries and rushes toward the sound, only to stumble across Jonas's mutilated body being scavenged by animals. Jennifer, on the other hand, seems energized by the act. Later, she's seen swimming naked in a lake, her body healing instantly from any wounds she might have sustained, as if she is thriving on the blood. In the next scene, the town reels from the horror of Jonas's murder. People are already traumatized from the fire, and now they're left shaken by a second tragedy. Meanwhile, the band Low Shoulder is enjoying a very different kind of aftermath. False rumors spread that they were heroes who saved people from the fire, and their popularity explodes overnight. Their single, Through the Trees, becomes the anthem of unity for the town, and eventually they announce a charity appearance at the school's spring formal, only feeding the legend of their so-called bravery. A month passes. While the rest of the town slowly starts to heal and find reasons to smile again, Jennifer begins to change. Instead of her usual confident, glowing self, she looks lethargic and sickly. Her skin breaks out, her energy fades, and she seems almost depressed. When Needy asks what's wrong, Jennifer vaguely mutters that it's wearing off, though she never explains what she means. The comment only adds to Needy's growing suspicion that something unnatural is happening to her friend. After class one day, while walking down the hallway, a student named Colin, an awkward emo type with a love for horror movies and obscure music, works up the courage to ask Jennifer out. At first, she harshly mocks him, making fun of his music taste and suggesting she probably has more masculinity than him. But Needy, who actually likes Colin and finds him cute, defends him. Surprisingly, Jennifer suddenly changes her mind and decides to give Colin a chance. She invites him over to her house to watch a movie. Later that night, things start to split in two directions. Needy heads over to Chip's house to spend some intimate time with him, while on the other side, Jennifer sends Colin an address that seems sketchy from the start. Colin, thinking he's in for a date, drives eagerly toward the location, but when he arrives, he finds himself in a deserted neighborhood. The house looks unfinished, with windows covered in plastic and no sign of life. Any reasonable person would have turned around and gone home at that point, but Colin, driven by excitement, decides to step inside. As he makes his way in, a crow suddenly flies across the room, startling him. He notices a faint sound of music upstairs, the muffled beat of an Akon song, which only makes the situation creepier. Following the sound, he enters a dim, candlelit room, where Jennifer suddenly appears behind him. At first, she looks a little sickly, but then she starts flirting and kissing him, leading him to believe this was all worth it. For a short while, Colin enjoys himself, but suddenly, a nest of mice pass by which spooks Colin. An unfazed Jennifer, however, continues the lovemaking and takes Colin's pants off. This is when things begin to go really downhill. Colin notices the color and size of Jennifer's iris changing in an unnatural way. He understandably freaks out and starts retreating, but Jennifer grabs his arm and mercilessly breaks it. The poor guy screams for help, but she continues to break his bones, telling him that she wants him to be frightened and hopeless. She then starts brutally disemboweling him and eating his organs, leaving nothing but blood and destruction behind. Meanwhile, Needy and Chip are in the middle of being intimate. During their time together, Needy suddenly starts hallucinating. She notices blood dripping from the ceiling, which at first terrifies her, but then she realizes it is just in her head. The horror escalates when she sees Jonas and Jennifer sitting on the couch casually, like they're invited guests. Completely shaken, Needy gasps for air, throws her clothes back on, and rushes out, leaving Chip utterly confused. On her drive home, things get worse. Jennifer suddenly appears in front of her car, drenched in blood. Needy slams the brakes, swerves, and almost hits her. Jennifer then leaps onto the windshield, causing Needy to panic even more. In a frantic state, she reverses the car and speeds away. Once back at her house, Needy tries to calm herself down and goes to bed, hoping the nightmare is over. But as soon as she pulls up her blanket, Jennifer crawls out from underneath, alive and perfectly fine, as if nothing had happened. A horrified Needy starts screaming, but Jennifer calms her down and convinces her to listen to her story. She then recalls the day she went with the Low Shoulder band members after the bar fire. In a shocking turn of events, it turns out the band wasn't just some indie group trying to make it big. They were agents of Satan, as Jennifer calls them. In a flashback, we see that they drove her into the woods in their creepy van, which was full of strange books and even charred skulls. At first, Jennifer thought they were just weird, but when she overheard them speculating about her virginity, she knew something was wrong. She lied, claiming she was a virgin, hoping it would save her, but instead, they tied her up near the Devil's Kettle waterfall. Nick, the band's frontman, explained that sacrificing a virgin to Satan would grant them fame and fortune. Jennifer recalls the gruesome moment when Nick stabbed her repeatedly with a ritualistic dagger while chanting incantations before tossing the blade into the whirlpool. Jennifer should have died, but since she wasn't really a virgin, the ritual went wrong. Instead of being killed, she came back, only now permanently possessed. She remembers waking up after the stabbing with an unbearable hunger. On her way home, she ran into an exchange student who had survived the fire. Since no one knew he was alive, she lured him away and made him her first meal. Jennifer explains that when she feeds on human flesh, she becomes strong and practically indestructible. To prove it, she slices her own arm wide open, only to have the wound instantly heal in front of Needy's horrified eyes. Jennifer admits that she even thought about killing Needy on the first night, but decided against it because she still had feelings for her best friend. After dropping this bombshell, she calmly leaves by leaping out Needy's window, unfazed by the 13-foot drop. In the next scene, Anita begins to conduct paranormal research so that she can learn more about the unsettling events as of late. For this, she goes into the cult section of of her college library and starts reading books about occult and virgin sacrifices to Satan. She comes across information on demonic transference, which happens when a non-virgin is mistakenly sacrificed. The demon ends up inhabiting the victim permanently, making them a succubus, a supernatural predator that feeds on human flesh. The only weakness of such beings is that they can be killed when they're hungry and vulnerable. Following this, Anita shares her findings with her boyfriend, Chip, hoping for understanding and support. Unfortunately, he dismisses her claims and suggests that she may need mental assistance. As the two continue chatting, a sudden realization hits Anita, prompting her to break up with her boyfriend. The reason is simple. She knows that being close to him can potentially endanger his life. That's not all. Anita even forbids him from attending the upcoming college program. However, Chip angrily disregards her warnings and walks away. On the night of the dance, Needy anxiously waits for Jennifer, but grows increasingly nervous when she doesn't show. Meanwhile, Jennifer intercepts Chip on his way and plays her manipulative tricks. She lies, claiming Needy had been cheating on him with Colin, twisting his feelings further. She then lures him into an abandoned pool house, seduces him, and attacks him all of a sudden. Jennifer pushes him into the pool and begins feeding on his neck. Sensing something is wrong, Needy leaves the dance and stumbles across Chip's flower on the ground. Following screams, she tracks them down to the pool house. Inside, she finds Jennifer in the act of devouring Chip. A furious Needy leaps into the water and attacks her best friend. She sprays Jennifer with pepper spray, causing her to vomit a black liquid, but it barely slows her down. Jennifer then begins levitating, mocking Needy and threatening to kill her. The fight escalates until Chip, who is barely clinging to life, summons the last of his strength. He impales Jennifer with a pool skimmer, badly injuring her. A weakened Jennifer then retreats while Needy cradles her boyfriend in her arms. In his final moments, he tells Needy that he regrets not believing her. He also confesses his love, and then dies in her arms, leaving her devastated. Fueled by rage and grief, Needy decides to end things once and for all. That same night, she sneaks into Jennifer's bedroom through the window and ambushes her. A brutal fight erupts between the two best friends, causing complete mayhem. During the midst of it, Jennifer bites Needy's shoulder, passing some of her demonic traits onto her. Needy then fights back relentlessly, cutting Jennifer with a box cutter, but the wounds don't last. The two even levitate during their struggle, clawing at each other mid-air. After a few minutes of intense struggle, Needy notices the best friends forever necklace around Jennifer's neck and rips it off. The gesture distracts Jennifer just long enough for Needy to plunge the knife straight into her heart, finally ending her pathetic life once and for all. Unfortunately, just when the madness seems to be over, Jennifer's mother bursts into the room to the horrific sight of Needy crouched over her daughter's corpse with the bloody knife in hand. This is how Needy ends up in the mental asylum where her story began, but the story doesn't quite end there. Because of Jennifer's bite, Needy has inherited some of her powers, super strength, levitation, and a darker edge to her personality. One night, she uses these powers to escape the institution, levitating up to kick out a window and climbing into the outside world. As she walks along a road, she finds the very same ritual dagger that Nick had used to stab Jennifer, lying near the water runoff from Devil's Kettle. Armed with both her powers and the weapon, Needy hitchhikes to a hotel where Low Shoulder is staying. In the film's closing moments, home videos and crime scene photos show that she massacred the entire band in their hotel room, finally taking revenge for Jennifer and everyone they destroyed. Loved it? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out this video next, and